And Bishop-designate of Birmingham, Stephen Raica, is up next. But first, a little more news to share with you. The Archdiocese of New Orleans announced this week that Archbishop Gregory Raymond has tested positive for the coronavirus. According to a statement, the 70-year-old Raymond had recently exhibited a mild fever and, out of an abundance of caution, was tested. Archbishop Raymond is now self-quarantined, but will remain active online via Facebook and the Archdiocesan website while he recovers. Raymond is the first U.S. Catholic bishop to confirm he's contracted the coronavirus. And last week, our friend and Papal Posse member, Father Gerald Murray, joined us. He was in self-quarantine after exposure to someone infected with COVID-19. Many of you expressed your concern about Father's condition over the week. I'm happy to report Father Murray is doing well. He has shown no symptoms of the coronavirus, and he's ended his quarantine. We'll continue to keep him in our prayers, however, and all those suffering in New York and around the world. On a more serious note, former president of EWTN News, Dan Burke, is in intensive care after having tested positive for the coronavirus. Dan had been on a ventilator. However, he seems to be showing signs of improvement. His wife, Stephanie, has also contracted the virus. Please keep Dan and Stephanie Burke in your prayers. Terrible, happening everywhere. Joining me now is the Bishop of the Diocese of Gaylord, Michigan. But on June 23rd, he'll be installed as the new shepherd of the Diocese of Birmingham, Alabama, which, as most of you know, is the home diocese to EWTN. He's here to talk about his new assignment and his vision going forward. Please welcome Bishop-designate Stephen Raica. Bishop, first of all, congratulations on your appointment. I know our friends in Birmingham are very excited. This is a boon at a very difficult moment, I think, for the people of Birmingham. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Raymond. It's a delight to be with you this afternoon.
Bishop Raica, you are a canon lawyer trained in Rome. You were also superior at the North American College's graduate school and spiritual director there. How did those experiences in both the canon law and spiritual direction prepare you for this latest assignment?
Oh, my. I think the really unique aspect of it was really bringing together a group of priests. We had about 70 to 80 priests at Casa Santa Maria, all studying in various disciplines at the various universities and institutes in Rome. And so to be able to have 70 priests, it was like I was already a bishop, organizing these 70 guys to get to where they needed to go. But I found it to be a very unique experience because many of these guys came, and it was true for myself when I was first a priest there in 1988. And we had this whole sense of that priesthood was all about doing something. I was doing ministry. And then you get there and nobody's calling you, nobody's asking for appointments, and you're quiet and studying and doing your work there. And so it became a whole different reality of just being a priest and what that meant and how that complements the doing. So I think in a large part, that was a tremendous growth period for a lot of priests into maturing their understanding of what priesthood is. That the two complement each other so beautifully. That I am a priest, whether I am doing the things that priests and parishes typically do, or I am a priest if I am just by myself, and that's who I am, and that's how I live.
Let's talk for a moment about your current post. You're the ordinary in Gaylord, Michigan. You'll be making a move in the middle of this global pandemic. This is an odd time. Indeed, your installation is going to be delayed because of it. What do you see as Bishop, as the missing element in evangelization at this moment that you'd like to bring to your new Diocese of Birmingham?
Well, I don't know if it's a missing element. There are a lot of things that are going on, especially with the advancement of a lot of social media right now. But I think the heart of it really still is Christ. Christ is the center, as Pope St. John Paul II said, of our history and of our time. And really, we go back to what we find and read in the first chapter of St. John's Gospel when John and Andrew approached John the Baptist and Christ was going by. And the first word that he tells them is, look. And I think part of the job that we have as a priest or as a bishop is to say, look, there's the Lamb of God. And there is the beginning of where our life begins to change. So our whole focus in ministry, I think, and in evangelization always has to be look at Christ. Look at Christ. And he's there. and he's inviting us,
Yeah.
asking us, what is
Now,
it that you want? Yeah.
yeah. Bishop Raica, you are a devotee of Monsignor Luigi Giussani and his
Yes.
Communion and Liberation movement. You have said it was his educational method that attracted you to his writings. What is it about that educational method that shaped your own ministry and drew you to Giussani's writings and approach?
Part of it was an instruction, certainly the encounter of Christ that leads to freedom, and that was the proposal that has been given to us. That has been echoed by John Paul II, it's been echoed by Pope Benedict, and it's been re-echoed again by Pope Francis, and how significant that method has been in educating our freedom, freedom to encounter Christ and to encounter Christ in those that we meet day by day. I think the whole meaning of life, he would say that the whole meaning of the human journey lies in its destination. And the destination is present not only in the actual moment that the journey ends, but along each step of the way. And I find that each step of the way, we find a bit of that divine, a bit of that mystery, a bit of that wonder still making and reaching out to us to attract us to itself.
Well, you know, when I read your address about Giussani, it spoke of the encounter with a person, the encounter with an event, and that person is Jesus Christ. And I kept thinking of Mother Angelica, you know, who sort of exemplified it for me, you know, someone passionately in love with Christ as a living person whom she served with no reserve, just with total abandonment. Now, the Diocese of Birmingham that you are going to be leading very shortly has a relatively small Catholic population, 105,000 out of a total of 3 million. But with EWTN based there, it is a diocese with enormous reach. Now, I know you've had Catholic radio in both Lansing and Gaylord. How familiar are you with EWTN, and how do you see the collaboration between the diocese and EWTN going forward in the days ahead?
Raymond, that's you're right. We did have radio here, and that was not part of the diocese, but certainly a collaborative part of us. And it sort of is a complementary aspect that we have to work together for the same mission. And that reach, I think that EWTN, of course, has is so dynamic and so powerful. And to be honest, I don't know anything about how it relates to the Diocese of Birmingham, and because I've never been to Alabama, I've never been to Birmingham, so this will all be new for me to try to discover and understand. And I think one of the key points in all of this is perhaps what I learned when I was in kindergarten or first grade, and you were trying to cross the road. And, you know, sister or whoever was leading you across said, stop, look, and listen. So part of what I have to do is get down there and quiet my mind and then look and listen to see what's going on and see how that can be nourished and developed, because I think there's some tremendous things that can happen because of it.
Well, I know my confreres are looking forward to introducing you to the network and the work of the network in the days ahead, so we'll certainly do that. Before I let you go, Bishop, given this pandemic and the temporary public confinement of the faith, as well as the lingering effects of the abuse crisis, are you worried that this could present the church with an additional obstacle to drawing and retaining believers, the faithful?
It certainly has that prospect. And what I have reminded our people up here, and certainly the priests, is just because the public celebration of Mass is being suspended for a period of time doesn't mean that our discipleship is. So our priests and our pastoral administrators and others have been extremely creative in trying to reach out to people and using social media for the celebration of Mass, or the churches are open where people can come and pray, being available for the sacrament of penance, still going to the hospitals to anoint. And so they are still actively engaged, and they've been doing these kinds of creative things to still do ministry, but perhaps in a different way. And one of the things I think that is really significant in doing this is that they are indeed zealous for souls. They want to have that contact, even though we're talking about this sort of paradoxical or ironic concept of social distancing, you know, social kind of being together, but distancing, keeping us apart. And they're trying to bring that together to make sense for their people.
Yeah, well, Bishop Stephen Raica, I wish you the best in your new role as the Bishop of Birmingham, Alabama. We will certainly be in touch in the days ahead, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Raymond. Delight to be with you today.